what's good, guys? It's your boy Wiley J, and today I'm going to be bringing you some Elestrals content. I'm going to be talking about the 10 cards I believe that are really going to be shaping the meta for Firestorm. I do also have two honorable mentions that I'll add towards the end of the video. But yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. Ready to talk about these. Okay, so first things first, we'll kind of give some premise to these cards. But so, what is the best first turn card in the game right now? It's just straight up Werepup. Werepup, I think, is insane in the meta. I don't think that he is so strong that he needs to be banned, actually, but he has such a strong start that if you are not prepared for it, you will lose. That's just it. So, not to say that you cannot play around the World Cup combo, that's to say that there are not answers for it, because there definitely are. Just knowing that, hey, first turn, and even if you do know it's coming, it is a tough thing to deal with, right? Because you need to make sure that you have the answers. So, for those of you who do not know, Werepup lets you search a full moon or any lunar phase. Typically, you're going to go find full moon. Full moon's going to let you ascend if you play it and Werepup is active. He's going to ascend into a Like a Void. The new Like a Void champion, champion of Artemis. Like a Void, he basically is going to summon out all of your Werepups. I have actually seen some people choose to play one of the champion Artemis Werepups just so that they can have a 4 wide board. But a lot of people are just running the 3 plus the Like a Void champ. I guess I should probably highlight the Like a Void champ, but I think Werepup is the issue, less of the Like a Void champ. Him being the 1 card combo of if you find him, it just makes all the difference. I will say most of these combos that I'm going to reference actually works. Literally just posted a video, so I would highly go recommend. First off, you should be subscribed to Words, but highly go recommend you guys go check that out. So that you're prepared for some of the combos and some of the ones that maybe aren't the best in the meta, but they are still relevant. But yeah, Werepup, pretty self-explanatory. If you have any questions, obviously let me know. Next, we have Sorlet. Uh, Sorlet is, in my opinion, the best. If you're going second, right? Werepup being the best first turn card. If you get to go first. Sorlet being the best first turn card if you get to go second. Being able to have number one a double attacker off rip was always really, really strong. If we think back to Nabi has always had the limitation of, it only affects certain guys. Sorlet is just, hey, I get to go find my guy as long as I can get over you. Point blank, period. I will say Sorlet being a 4 is his how would I put his balancing mechanic here, because if he was a 5 it would actually be insane. I will say that 4 does come up in a couple of situations, because there's some really nice 4 static defense Elestrals that you just can't get over, and there's not a lot of like 3 costs that don't have additional effects, I should say, where Sorlet just can't get over them. However, Sorlet is the best answer to a Like a Void start, as long as they don't have any back row, right? But usually you're playing Hurricane, you're gonna Hurricane. Sorlet is able to get over with a Werepup, whether they're in defense or attack position, and then you're able to go straight into Chrysor, go over the Like a Void, and now you have a 7/3 beater that they need to figure out how they need to deal with him, and they can't just drop down Specterus, because Specterus will only be a 6. So really strong card. Like I said. It's definitely the card that, hey, you go in, you beat over. He almost feels like, how would I say, like Viscerus in a different way. But Viscerus, or I mean, definitely, obviously Nabi, but I almost feel like he has like Viscerus feels in a way. But obviously he's not growing in strength, so there's that is. But like I said, Sorlet, I think super strong card. You only need 2 wind to run the combo. You really only need 1 wind to run the combo, but 2 wind to run the combo, and you can basically put this 4. You can put 3 Sorlets in with the Chrysor, and it's in every single deck. I think it's a very good side option as well. If you do have, like, you should be probably playing Hurricane, right? So like you just add in 1 more win, and now you're able to have a Chrysor out that can deal with some pretty crazy 1-turn plays. So I do think this would be a very strong side option as well, even if you were not playing wind, but your opponent is now on things like he's on the Werepup line. Maybe he's maybe you feel like he's playing some stuff and you can get over some of their solar guys. Point is, I think he can be really really good in the side or even main. Obviously, main decked is a thing, but I think he can also be really strong in the side. Werepup, I do not think can really be played in the side because of the amount of spirits you kind of need, unless you are already playing Lunar. Cool deal. Next, we're gonna talk about the champion Poseidon Galaxy. This guy is insane, in my opinion. I think so I talk about the best. If I go first, I want this card. If I go second, this is probably the best second card. I think this card could play as one of the best first turn second. I think, for me personally, I think Plucky, just to be honest, is gonna be might actually be kind of crazy with this Galaxy. I was actually thinking about it. I think a Chronodial deck might kind of go crazy in this deck, if I'm honest, because you just basically always find your Poseidon. You pretty much always go Galaxy after, and now you have a 5/4 beater. It's almost like Pelaquarius in a way, where you aren't obviously you're not searching out the Galaxy, maybe so not as consistent or strong, but I think the ability to find whatever divine rune you want, have a guy out in defense as well. I used to not like Elichick because after your turn was over, he was just a 4 that most people were able to get over. Um, he's really strong in that one turn. Now, yes, you don't have that really strong guy in that one turn, but now you have a defensive body, and now you potentially in that next turn have two guys that are going to be attacking over and doing some damage. So, also just in general, I think Galaxy is actually able to get over a lot of 2-drop Elestrals. Some of the like. For instance, Chrysor. Chrysor only has 3 defense. Fossil Cell 4. I have to relook at Rhinosec, but I think Rhinosec has 4. I could be wrong. He could have 5. But point is, if they have a 4 defense stat line or lower, this guy gets over point blank. Period. Probably one of the best, if not the best, 5 in the game right now. Next, we're gonna play Brummalinx. This is probably the next best 5 in the game. Obviously, he's a 4, but with the ability to find the Mountains of Boreas and become a 5, I think is really strong, right? We saw that with Jolton being able to search an in spirit stadium to immediately buff your guy just goes, a long way. Cryoblast is not even very relevant in this format, but it was completely immune to that as well anyway. Um, and Laurels is also not very prevalent in this format right now. So it's not like you can have 2 spirits and just be worried about a Laurels. I do think it might be a decent side option if you recognize that. But Brummalinx being able to find that Mountains of Boreas, I think, is really what makes the difference on how strong this card is. For example, he is also able to find out Blizzard. Blizzard probably is the best thunderstorm, I should say, in the game. With the ability to play it and them not be able to react, I think is super strong. Brummalinx is obviously going to be on board anyway, so if you were to like pop it and destroy a tsunami, right? He's able to get his attack over where maybe they would just tsunami, get your guy in defense, and now it feels bad because now he's only a 3, right? But even in that, Brummalinx going to the graveyard does not feel bad. Why? Because you have Morlith. And because you're able to go and find mountains, Morlith now becomes an 8/6 that is very hard to deal with. So there's that. But I think the ability, the ability to search the stadium was what really makes this card insane. For example, there are guys like Titanostrike and Fulgarius. They basically do what Brummalinx does if he goes and finds the Blizzard. And I think that combo is really strong, right? A lot of people are only playing one back row to defend their one guy to deal with one guy, which makes sense. However, being able to play like Brummalinx, Titanostrike, Fulgaries, pop that one back row and potentially attack over is a very strong combination to be able to do. And like I said, Brummalinx does both, right? He finds the stadium and he has that potential to just have a very strong turn. He's gonna be at 3 in every single Frost deck. I think it's just point blank. Period. I would also say this single card hands down is going to force I think it forces everybody to play a stadium in their side deck. I think you need at least 2 Jolton and at least 1 stadium, whether you want to play your in spirit stadium or you want to play like Foloid to just completely say, hey, look, if you really care about your stadium, you're going to have to expend an extra 2, whatever that looks like. Brummalinx is putting that on the map and you have to respect it. That's why that card is so good. Also to say, just highly noted, Bean Soldier just won with this card, and I think the reason, um, what is it? I think the reason he was able to do that is right, like the problem with Blizz, it can be inconsistent, right? Brummelings gives it that consistency. That's it. You basically play three Bummelinks. What is it? Three Brummelinks, three Moralith, and you're chilling. And I would say too. I mean, he mentioned it in his video, but having to have Asprow, come out and actually be like a big dude is a problem. Same thing with Snowlit. Snowlit coming out and being a 5, problem. Next, this is the last one on the list of these guys will be changing the meta, is Volcaries. Volcaries is the first card that I think is really playing into this ability to reuse decks from your underworld, and I think that is insanely strong. The more times that you can reuse spirits, the more value you get, just point blank, right? If I can use a spirit 5 times, the same spirit 5 times, that's the difference between being at 20 spirits versus 15 spirits. That could be the difference of me being at, that could be the difference of me being at 6 spirits and 1 spirit. Over the course of a game, it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. The things that Volcaries is able to do, right? Being able to find artifacts. I think artifacts are actually really strong right now. Volcaries being able to find them out, cast them for free. Argo, same thing, right? Argo basically says, hey, you can cast out a necklace for free now. There's just so many ways, I think, to outplay guys using Argo. Obviously, the Argo being free now. And just having these really nice guys to be able to get over some stuff. What I also think is highly slept on is the fact that Volcaries is basically a pull 3 out of the deck, and see what your next 3 cards are. So Volcaries basically says you just saw the 10 cards, a quarter of your deck within the first turn. I think that value is, how would I put it? I don't want to call it unmatched because there's levels to match it, but that level of knowledge I think is what makes this card so crazy, right? Being able to become a 6, foretell, know what the next top, basically I know what my 10 cards are. There's no way, if you built your deck correctly, there is no way that you go through 10 cards and you do not have what you need, in my opinion, unless you just drew very, very badly. So yeah, I think in general with this card, like we're gonna see a lot more cards that allow you to use spirits from deck. Plucky champion does it as well, but just not as good as this guy, right? This is any artifact rune. Plucky has to be a solar rune. There's not a lot of solar runes, if I'm honest. I mean, there's just decent enough to play it, but being this is any artifact is really good. Also, being able to use Reforge, I think is a little slept on, right? I don't think you need more than one, right? Because it is less effective ambrosia in terms of the heal. But I think what's also slept on is the fact that you're gonna play that, you're gonna then reuse spirits from your underworld, which is basically, you could look at that as another heal, and then reuse those spirits again for like a Kinleo or your counter runes that are already on board. It's just insane. And as long as he's out there with the Festus, right, he searches that, he's gonna be freaking golden. So those are my 5 guys that I think will really spice up. These are the 5 Elestrals that I think will really be spicing up the meta. So just be wary for them, be ready for them. Know that they'll be out there. Know that they're coming. And maybe too, you needed to know about some of these guys so that you know how to combat some of these dudes. I'm not really getting into how to combat all these guys, and really going that way. Point is, you need to turn off their effects as quickly as possible, or just have just answers, right? Like, I'm gonna say answers. I would say understand what they do, understand what they want to do, and then be able to go from there. So I can get into the nitty gritty if y'all want to, but I think I shared enough. So for the runes, we're gonna start off by talking about one of the newest divines. I think Hestia Eh, Hestia is good in a Blazers OTK deck. That is it. It is not meta changing. However, Hermes is a crazy can be a crazy one card combo. Hermes can be an earthquake. Hermes can be special ascend fodder. There is so much that can be done with Hermes that I can't not put it on this list. I hands down think that if there are more divine runes that come out that are like Hermes, we will see a surge of divine healing. And I promise I could literally see people playing double, double ambrosia, double divine healing, or whatever combination that could look like, and that be their healing for the deck. And because of how strong these combos can get, Hermes is crazy. Like genuinely, Hermes is crazy, right? Like Hermes. So I'll share two scenarios that I've thought about. And I don't know how strong one is, but I know the other one is strong. Um, Hermes, excuse me, Spine Nymph. Spine Nymph has the ability to just straight up search Hermes. Hermes, you play the Hermes, you have Spine Nymph out. Wertz explained this combo as well. It's a Spine set combo. But you basically can get a 2-drop, a 5/7 that can put any card back into the hand and it does not target. Along with that, you can play Hermes Trickery and reuse that combo as many times as you would. I don't know. I can't say as many times as you would like, but as many times as you have Hermes Trickery. So that's just strong, I think, in itself. That's something that can be played on your opponent's turn. I think the ability to just put cards back in the hand, especially non-targeting, is really strong. I think the only card in the game that really does not like that is Pharaohgeist. And he's a one of. So but yeah, strong guy. I would say too, you can basically Hermes Trickeries go into your Spinosec, put him in defense. Now you have a 7 defense body. Not a lot of guys get over that, and you just put whatever could get over it back into that person's hand. So, on all, really really strong. I would say too, like things like, let's say we go like Champ like a Void in this deck. We can go like Champ like a Void, play Hermes, send Dracadoodle, play what is it? What card am I thinking of right now? Play any of our cockatoodles over one of the werepups or with the werepups. We could literally crash. Cockadoodle will go. If if you're using the original cockatoodle, you can actually just select a guy, suppress it, pop one of your werepups, pop that guy using like a void's effect, and now you basically have free earthquake. And then when that guy does go away, right, you can crash him, do whatever he wants. Whenever he decides or whenever he leaves that field, you get a Dracadoodle out. That's a 6/2, and now you have 2/6 guys that are just blowing over stuff. So, I think, like I said, I think Hermes is going to be really strong. I think it's literally a card that says, hey, you can play stuff out of your deck. You can play an earthquake from your deck. You can play a guy from your deck and just get him out. Like there's Hermes, how would I put it? Hermes by itself is not strong. The cards around Hermes make it strong. So be careful ultimately of Hermes strategy. I got hit with one and I just was not prepared. Point blank. Like I wasn't ready for it this weekend at all. And it did me dirty. So yeah, there's that guy. Next, we'll talk about a card that is, how would I put, very non-meta right now. I would say very anti-meta. And it's Hibernation. Hibernation came out, and this card is really good. You can basically heal. You can basically find your big Majursa, get him on the field, whatever those things look like with this card. It is effectively the one card combo to get a huge guy out in Bears. Bears kind of, like I said, they're always going to be weak guys. I think this card in particular puts Bears on the map. One thing that was always strong was obviously the Ursidon, going like Ursmog, whomever, get your big guy out. Now you can basically do it, and it be, I don't want to call it free, but it's like half the price. It's like you're playing at it with 50% off, and you basically just need one guy out there. So, yeah, but yeah, I think I think it's really good. The draw power is there as well. There's not really too much I'm gonna talk about this card, But point is, if I see bears and I see high bear nation, I get terrified. I genuinely get terrified because Majersa, I think I have one right here, is an insane card. Oh, this is not the champion. This is the old one. But the new champ Majersa is an insane card. The ability to just say pow 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 is nuts. First turn, second turn, right? Bears. Just know that bears are going to be on the map. Be wary of them. Same thing too. So I know I mentioned, where's he at? I know I mentioned Chrysor being a very strong, second turn combo. If you choose to go bears, bears with what is it, Earthseer is basically Sorlet but better. In my opinion, you're able to completely flip the board with Earthseer and Abomin Ursa rather than just being able to get over two guys very quickly. Obviously, Sorlet can be splashed in more decks. Earthseer, I mean, honestly, Earthseer combo could really be splashed in most decks. The problem is he's a 3. So he's not able to get over, everything. But yeah, Hibernation, really nuts, really nuts card. I think it's just a huge tempo play, huge tempo turn. It basically says bears that usually play slow can now play fast, and get to their big guy. So you can Ursadin, I think is nuts too, because you can go in a Glacier Ursa if you wanted to, right? You don't necessarily have to go into Majersa. You can go into the other Majersa too and protect your guys. Like it's just nuts what you're gonna be able to do. Like even if you went into like old Majersa, right? One spirit of Barrel Elestrals can't be attacked and they can't be targeted by card effects. How do you get through a 12-12 body, 12-12 body, and now you can't attack over his small guys, right? Your whole thing is getting that dude out. He also gives people attack +2, +2. So he gets really big. It's probably one of the biggest Elestrals I think in the game. He can get to a 20, not 20. He can get to an 18 stat line. Is it 20? Yeah, no. It's a 6. It's an 18 stat line. So, like I said, I would just be wary of him. I've played against bears a couple of times, and the issue is that when it drops, and it wins games. So, yeah, yeah. Needless to say, I think that cards like Boombat, which have seen a little bit of a kind of down in usage, I think needs to kind of go up a little bit. We need that guy. We need that guy. So, next thing I'll talk about is another new card, and it's Lyre of Apollo. Lyre of Apollo, in my opinion, hands down the best artifact in the game right now. It not only it doesn't just have to play into solar, it can play into almost any deck. It gives so much playability. Like being able to just say, hey, like I mean it's Galaxy, right? But in your hand and anytime you want to use it. I would say too, the effect to boost all your champions of Apollo, it does stack. So playing this card at 3 honestly feels really good. You can get guys like Exaltus up to a what is it, a 7/6. If you have 2 out, you can have 2 Pluckies out, and these not Plucky. You could have like 2 Soul Bell, and these Soul Bells are now what is it, 8/5s. They're not even knocked out by the Galaxy. Like it's insane. And being able to obviously like play Argo, right? If y'all was playing Solar, you had Plucky out. You can now play Argo. Immediately go into a Lyre. You can put it on your dude. You can put it on their dude. Whatever it looks like, whatever is going to make you win that duel, point blank period. So I think this card is really crazy. The ability to play Plucky, find it, potentially draw into it. It's gonna be, this deck is gonna be played in a deck that foretells a lot. So there's always gonna be guys in your hand to be able to use this with. I would say too, just being able to get this into your hand, right? Being able to play it for free if Plucky is in play. Once again, right? We talked about that with Volcaries a little bit. This card is a free card that just wins you every single fight that you could ever think of. So, yeah, Lyre, really good. Point blank period. There's just take my word for it if you don't trust me. Next, I'm gonna get into some cards that are older, but I think are gonna be really strong. One is Hurricane. Pretty self-explanatory. Hurricane is just your ultimate tempo card. everybody is playing around the fact that you probably have a hurricane and are going to be a little bit cautious of it. That's why they're only playing one rune out there. But it is worth to play the hurricane, blow out that one rune if you have a combo that you do not want to be stopped. It just is what it is. Like this is always going to be a card that is going to be meta determining. It's either heavily played or heavily not played, and whichever way it goes, right, you're basically playing around it. It is a card that even if it is not played, it has influenced the metagame. And I think too, with the amount of guys now that we have kind of being able to swarm fields, be able to get their combos off if they need to attack or whatever, right? All of these guys that say, hey, you need to attack over something and destroy it are now activated with Hurricane. So yeah, I think pretty self-explanatory, right? It's just gonna say, hey, you have tempo now. If your opponent puts down 3 cards, guess what? Hurricane just won you that game. Next, I'm going to talk about Altar of Stars. Altar, I think, has always been probably the best card in terms of skill checking your opponent. 100%. It is the highest, I think, skill ceiling card in Elestrals. And with everyone playing more spirits, with more divines being played, with more swarming Elestrals, Altar of Stars just has more guys, more options, right, to be able to activate it with. I still don't think you ever played at 3 because it can feel really bad as a brick, but that ability to Nexus, get some very key receives off if you ever choose to do so, but really just being able to switch, right? There was a play that it was a casuals, and somebody played Bronzeglow. They had Bronzeglow out with Champion C. The Champion Galaxy was only at 2 attack. He had already played him. But I had like a rabbit out. I had 2 rabbits out. One was in defense. One was in attack. One had the liar on them. He ends up Zeusing down the rabbit that had liar on it. So now that guy, he was a 2 attacker. And he goes to swing over my rabbit that has 5 defense with his Bronzeglow. I then go I then go altar. I take the spirit from the liar so that now he has 2 defense. We put it here. I then take a thunder, put it onto my rabbit, and rabbit now I just got card advantage. I switch the Bronzeglow to defense, and now I have a 2 defense stat Alestral that that Galaxy now can't get over. And I promise you that one altar play completely changed how that duel that clash is going to go. So all in all, I say all this to say, like, I know most people understand that altar is a very strong card. What I want to say is you need to be playing it. Next, these are going to be our 2 honorable mentions. I don't think that they're heavily meta defining, but I do think that they are 2 cards that, with some more exploration, with as more cards drop into the game, as there's more options that arise for them, I think they get better. And one I think has been seeing that surge recently because it was unplayable, and now it is. And that is going to be Pandora's Box. Pandora's Box is really freaking strong, in my opinion. Yes, there are some times where it does not make sense to Pandora's Box. Like, you probably don't want to be Pandora's boxing a Argo, especially if they're about to go -4. I think it's worth Pandora's boxing if it's like Argo and it was going to be a free Argo if they had the Volcaries out. I mean, it stops so many guys, right? It excuse me. Anybody who decides to search, we have so many searchers now. Anybody that is just looking to cast straight through, just is like, no, right? Like, this can potentially stop Like of Wood. Just being honest, right? Like, they go full moon, you go Pandora's Box to negate the werepup. They now no longer have a full moon, and now it's just a random werepup out there. And now they have 4 bricks in their deck, or excuse me, 3 other bricks in their deck that they really can't do anything with. Pandora's Box, I think, is especially important into the Bears matchup. It's going to stop Ursier as well. So there's just so many things, right? Like, even things with like I really like this card into foamy Snark plays. I actually had to play against a dude who played a lot of that. And it was basically just like, okay, cool. float your foamy, go to Snark. Cool. I'm gonna play Pandora's Box. Say no to Snark. You're gonna expend two, or excuse me, you're gonna send two off the top of your deck, and hopefully I send what you were searching, which I think is really cool. But yeah, so I think this card is going to continue to see more and more light. The issue I think with it and why it doesn't feel the best is because it doesn't destroy. So it's a lot better to use against, I don't want to call it's weird. I don't want to call them weak, but it's really good to use against cards that are going to be leaving the field, or they're just a relatively weak Elestral, but you understand that they played that they literally are playing that weak Elestral because it is so important, so important for them to get that card. Things like, Sorlet. I can stop the Sorlet from being able to ascend into that guy, get over him next turn. It could be, yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna get into all of the scenarios. Point is, Pandora's Box, good card. And I think the more as we go into searchers and more searchers, it's continue just going to be a better and better card. So yeah. Lastly, I have Exaltus. Exaltus, I was playing around a little bit with. Exaltus has a very special effect. He basically is going out over any guy, which I think is highly undervalued at the moment. You see it in the new Like a Void deck because people are like, oh well, you just get over my Werepup, I get another 3/2. Makes sense. However, if you play any Ascension deck, if you play any deck that would love to have a one Spirit Solar out there, Exaltus is your way to go. I would say too, just the ability to continue to have your board full is really important in the game of Elestrals right now. And Exaltus, yes, respectfully, he's only a 3, but being able to foretell, have him become a 6, and get over most things is also very strong. So I think any deck where you can reliably, foretell, he should definitely go in. But there may even be, excuse me, there may even be some play in the future where you just need to have a guy stick. It could be like your Hypnosum stuff. You just need to have a guy stick, and maybe it's like you don't want a bad card. Exaltus is a little bit better. Maybe you do have some foretell stuff off. He can beat over some guys. But yeah, I think the more guys like this, where he's able to just kind of special cast himself out, it's unreactable. Like you can't Gorgons the Exaltus. You can't stop its effect from going through. You can't just be like, oh yeah, no, you're not gonna get that guy. That's like like there's nothing that stops the Exaltus from coming down if you destroy over somebody. It's just, unless I'm wrong, there's nothing that does it. So I think that is what I saw, and I think that's why this guy is gonna be really strong. So those are my 12 cards that I think will be very meta defining, and really just cards that I think everybody should look out for. Maybe some cards that you were not really considering playing, but now can potentially see the value, things like Pandora's Box, stuff like that. But yeah, or maybe even like the Galaxy. Maybe you weren't fully seeing the Galaxy before. You have some maybe smaller static guys. It doesn't really make sense for you to switch their attacks to their low stat. But yeah, so that being said, I am going to let you guys go. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out with me today, and I will catch you guys on the next one. I'm excited to be bringing you guys some deck profiles here in the near future. But if you made it this far, definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, more Elestrals content coming soon. Peace.